Get miles.
At my 5th birthday party, I was standing in front of a TV that we had with a girl my age, and it was the kind of TV you could run your hand up and down this strip and it would change the channels really fast. And she found this really entertaining, and she started sliding her hand up and down the channels faster and faster, and the channels kept changing so fast that I just completely freaked out, and before I knew it, I reached out and I snatched her necklace off, and she started screaming. And my mom came over and said, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "I don't know." And looking back, I really couldn't handle being out of control very much. And it's because I was dealing with something very dangerous and very scary. A few months prior, I woke up in the middle of the night, panicked, because all the muscles in my body were suddenly cramping. My hands, my arms, my legs, my jaw, my tongue, my face. Everything was cramping up and I couldn't move. And I couldn't speak. And I tried to call my parents, but it came out as a moan. I was like, "Mom!" And I didn't know what was happening. And my parents came into the room. And my father went into the kitchen to call the doctor. What was happening was an attack of what's called tetany. I have a medical condition called Milroy's disease, and one of the symptoms is a severe calcium deficiency. And when the calcium level drops too low in the bloodstream, the muscles lose the ability to relax. And so that's what was happening there. And so I bolted up. I was trying to gain some kind of control, but there was very little way to move my muscles, and my legs suddenly shot straight like stilts, and I started stilt walking down the hall, trying to gain some kind of control. And I flopped onto the living room rug, and I put my head in my mom's lap. And I looked up at her, and I tried to say something. And I said, and she looked down, and she said, "Kill you?" I said, "Yeah." And at that moment, my dad came back in the room, and he put me over his shoulder, and he started taking me down the stairs. And I knew that as long as I kept breathing, as long as I kept air coming into my lungs, he was going to make it okay. And he put me into the back of the car, and they took me to the hospital, and they put an IV into my arm and calcium into my bloodstream. And my muscles relaxed, and I could move, and I could speak, and I was safe. I had a number of attacks like this as a kid. I'm fine now. I'm a very stable calcium source. Back then I was not. And my muscles were always very twitchy, and I was always afraid that if I would move too much, I would snap. And it would sometimes happen where I would have a cramp, like when you write too much and get a Charlie horse. And sometimes I would have full attacks of tetany where it would just go out of control. And one time I was in school and I had an attack of tetany, and I was lying on the floor, and my head was sort of inside this bookcase. And someone went to call my parents, but the rest of the teachers were just standing around, and I tried to tell them I needed calcium. So they said something like, "Would you like a glass of milk?" And I was thinking, my God, I'm the only one who knows what's going on here. I'm the only one who can do anything. The other problem at school was the second symptom of Milroy's disease, or primary lymphedema, as it's called, which is excessive swelling. As a kid, my face, my eyes, my belly, my legs were all very heavy and swollen all the time. And I looked fat. And the kids would call me fatso. And I tried to explain to them, it's not fat, it's lymphedema. I have no control over it. But they really didn't care. And there was this one particular girl, we'll call her Veruca Salt, because she reminds me of Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. She was a complete snob. And she, Schnozberry, whoever heard of a Schnozberry? She was exactly like that. And she had this particular talent for making me feel less than human and disgusting. She once looked at me, looked down her nose at my hands, and said, "Ew, cut your nails." And it's shocking how the lessons we learn at these moments. I looked down and I felt disgusting. And to this day, I must keep my nails cut as short as possible. And if they're not cut as short as possible, I really can't relax. And we really become our parents. I found out that her parents were actually kind of snobs as well, and always had tons of money, and no one knew where it came from. And my mom went to a temple gathering. We're Jewish, and went to a temple gathering at their house. And as she's walking into the house with the rabbi, they walk into this opulent entryway, just like dripping with money. And the rabbi looks around and turns to my mom and says, "Woo-ha." And I found all kinds of ways to escape as a kid. I love books, and I love reading, particularly the book A Wrinkle in Time. Because the Wrinkle in Time is about a character named Meg who travels through space using this magical construct called a tesseract. And at one point she tesseracts through this dark void that's taking over the universe. And when she gets on the other side, she's on this planet, and she can't move. She's frozen, and she can't move, and she can't speak. And her father's leaning over her, and she doesn't know why, and she's panicking. And then there's this wonderful creature, Ant Beast, who just represents unadulterated love, and this fuzzy creature with these tentacles. And she puts her tentacles on Meg, And Meg feels warmth and peace and love rush through her, and her muscles relax and she can speak again. The other way I used to escape was inventing things. And I love taking things apart. I took apart the rotary phone, I took apart the TV, I took apart everything in the house. My dad was the same way. He took apart everything in the house too. He rebuilt our basement. He took apart a car and put a new engine in instead of buying a new car because it was more fun. And I once said to my dad, if you took a fan and you had it turning a generator and you had the generator feeding back into the fan, it would go forever. And he said, wow, that's wonderful, but it's a perpetual motion machine and it would give off heat and actually would lose energy as the system goes. So his projects were more realistic. My mom and my dad were safety growing up. My mom, honestly everyone gets this when they meet my mom. She was just one of the most extraordinary people on earth. People, when they meet my mom, they feel heard and seen and known, and she really sees you the way you want to be seen. And it's really the way I made it out of all that stuff alive. And we would come home from the first day of school, and the first thing she would say is, "Are you going back?" And she knew if we said no, she didn't tell us, "Yes, you are going back." She knew we meant it, and that something happened. And she always managed to talk us into going back the next day, but she knew that we couldn't ever feel trapped, that we had to know we had the option. And I always loved also that she always made sure that every Friday night we had Shabbat dinner, the Jewish Sabbath. And she would light the candles, and they were so meditative, and the family would be around the table, and she made sure everyone would say the highlight of their week, or the low light of their week, but you didn't have to say anything, but you could. And anything you wanted to talk about, you could, and we would discuss it. And my dad was physical safety in the world. Anything he was in charge of, we knew was going to go fine. If he was driving, no matter what the weather or where we were going to be fine. When he took apart the house and put it back together, we knew it was going to be fine. When he put together the car. He taught us all how to sail in a little styrofoam sailboat we won in the sweepstakes from ShopRite. And he taught us to sail in this in Cape Cod Bay in stiff winds. But it never occurred to me that it was anything but safe, because if my dad was doing it and he was letting us do it, it was fine. And I can't go on a roller coaster today, but like when I was a kid, if I was in my dad's lap, I felt completely safe on a roller coaster. And we really do become our parents. When I think about Baruch Assault from elementary school, I found out that her father was arrested for tax evasion. And now it's horrible to be arrested for tax evasion. Someone's arrested for tax evasion. But when I found this out, everyone at the table looked at me for my reaction, and I'm an adult now, but I couldn't help it. I looked up and I said, "Oh." And a few years ago, we really do become our parents. A few years ago, my mom had a surgical procedure, minor thing, but she was awake for it. She called me, so I'm very anxious. And I know it's nothing, but I can't sleep and I'm scared. And I told her about surgery I had a few years ago, unrelated to the rest of this, and that when I was in the recovery room during the surgery, my calcium level had dropped pretty low. Not too low, but low. And so my muscles were kind of twitchy. I was on the recovery room bed. And every time there was a loud noise, my abdomen would spasm, or every time someone jostled the bed, some muscle would spasm. And I was a little nervous about it. And they said, "Okay, we're going to have to move you from the recovery table to the gurney. We're going to lift the sheet, and on 3, we're going to swing you into the gurney. And it's easiest if you completely let go and give us your body weight." And so I said, "Okay, I may go into tetany. They may drop me on the floor and I might die. But I'm just going to do it." And so they counted to 3. And on 3, I completely gave in and became a rag. And they swung me onto the gurney. And the room said, "Oh my God, that was great." And I told my mom the story. And after she had the procedure, she called me and she said, "Jake, it was unpleasant, but it was okay. And you were in my head the entire time, keeping me safe." Thank you very much.